The Lamplighter's promise. The city lay swathed in twilight, neither day nor night, a dim gloaming that never quite settled. Its narrow cobblestone streets curled like veins beneath a heavy sky painted in endless shades of deep indigo and bruised purple. Gas lamps flickered along the avenues, casting golden pools of light that danced with shadows. In this liminal world, between dreams and waking, the air smelled faintly of rain and forgotten stories. Old Finn moved with slow, deliberate steps, his weathered fingers clutching a lantern that glowed faintly in his grasp. The brass frame was worn smooth, etched with delicate filigree that caught the dusky light. Inside, the flames sputtered like a hesitant heartbeat. Each evening, Finn walked the quiet streets, lighting the lanterns that hung from wrought iron hooks, their soft glow guiding the dreamers who wandered beneath the eternal twilight. But tonight, as he paused beneath an ancient elm in the square, the flame in his own lantern faltered. The light dimmed to a fragile whisper, as if begging for something lost. Finn's breath hung in the cold air, mingling with the faint rustle of leaves. His eyes, clouded with age but sharp with purpose, scanned the horizon where the twilight deepened. Somewhere beyond the mist and shadow, the city's dreamers wandered, waiting for the light to lead them home. He exhaled slowly, the weight of years pressing on his shoulders. To rekindle his lantern's flame, Finn knew he must do the impossible, revisit the memories he had helped others forget, the dreams he had carefully extinguished, and confront the younger self he had long buried beneath regret. With a measured sigh, he tightened his grip around the lantern's handle and began to walk. The first street he came to was known as Whisper Lane, a narrow alley where the lamps had grown dim over the years. Here, the dreamers once chased forgotten hopes, their footsteps echoing faintly like distant music. Finn's hand trembled slightly as he reached for the unlit lamp hanging from the crooked post. "Light," he whispered, his voice brittle with age. The flame inside his lantern flickered weakly in response. As the lamp sputtered to life, a gentle breeze stirred the shadows. Finn's eyes drifted closed, and the world seemed to ripple. In that moment, memories stirred from their long slumber. Faces, places, moments he had helped others forget. A child's laughter beneath rain-soaked skies. A woman's tearful goodbye on a train platform. A lover's whispered promise beneath a shattered moon. Finn's chest tightened. These were the fragments of dreams he had guided into oblivion, the pain he had helped bury. The city's twilight deepened as the lamplighter walked on, each lantern he lit casting more than just light. It released echoes of the past, stirring the quiet streets with memories once lost. Finn's footsteps echoed softly against the worn cobblestones as he moved deeper into the heart of the city. Each lamp he lit breathed a faint warmth into the lingering shadows, as if rekindling not only the light, but the very soul of the twilight realm. Yet with every flicker, a weight settled heavier in his chest, a quiet ache born from the memories he had long kept at bay. Ahead, the crooked sign of the old bookshop creaked gently in the soft wind. The shop was shuttered now, its windows clouded with dust, but Finn paused there, the lantern's glow casting a trembling halo around the faded letters etched into the wood. He remembered the night he'd extinguished the lamp outside this very shop, watching a young woman close its door and vanish into the fog. Her eyes had been bright with hope, the kind that clung stubbornly even to the edges of fading dreams. That night, Finn had taken from her a sliver of light, a memory too painful to hold, a dream too fragile to bear. His fingers brushed the cool iron of the lamp, and the flames sputtered, struggling to catch. Finn closed his eyes, letting the shadows of the past rise like ghosts. He saw her again, the woman with the storm in her eyes, clutching a tattered notebook filled with poetry and promises. She had whispered a wish for courage, for escape from a life he felt like endless dusk. But he had been the lamplighter then, and his duty was to guide the dreamers away from pain, away from dreams that might shatter. "Forgive me," he murmured, voice thick with years of regret. The flame steadied, burning brighter now, as if granted a fragile reprieve. Finn turned and continued along the narrow streets, the glow of his lantern weaving through the twilight like a trembling heartbeat. The city seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the light to heal what time had broken. The city's pulse slowed as Finn moved on, the cobblestones beneath his worn boots whispering secrets long forgotten. He entered a small square where the shadows curled around a cracked fountain, its water stilled and murky under the ever-dimming sky. Lanterns hung like silent sentinels from twisted iron posts, some darkened entirely, their glow snuffed out like extinguished hopes. Finn approached one such lamp, the flame inside long dead. He raised his lantern higher, its flickering light reaching out like a tentative hand, coaxing the darkness to retreat. The flame sputtered uncertainly, fighting against the weight of years and memories that clung like cobwebs. As the lamp ignited, a soft murmur rose from the shadows, a chorus of faint voices, whispers of lives he had touched, altered, sometimes broken. A young man's laughter, sharp and full of promise, echoed faintly through the still air. Finn's breath caught, heart tightening as the vision flickered before him. He remembered that boy, no older than 16, who had wandered the twilight streets with eyes wide open, chasing stars that didn't exist. Finn had lit the lamps for that boy, guiding him safely through dreams, and yet had also dimmed the boy's own flickering flame by leading him away from a path that might have led to heartbreak or ruin. "I tried to protect you," Finn whispered, voice cracking. "But maybe I should have let you stumble." The flame in his lantern steadied, a small beacon in the gathering dusk. Finn knelt by the fountain's edge, watching his reflection ripple in the dark water, fragmented and uncertain. The younger version of himself stared back, wild-eyed, hopeful, full of dreams he had since buried beneath layers of duty and doubt. To save his own lantern, to rekindle the light that had begun to fade, Finn knew he must forgive the boy he once was, the dreamer who had dared to hope and who had faltered in the face of endless twilight. He drew a shaky breath and with trembling hands lifted the lantern high. The flames surged suddenly, casting long shadows that danced like ghosts on the ancient stones. In that moment, the city seemed to sigh, the eternal twilight softening, if only for a heartbeat. The sudden warmth of the lantern's flame startled Finn, a fragile pulse of life beating anew within its glass enclosure. For a fleeting moment, the heavy cloak of twilight seemed to lift, revealing a sliver of pale sky tinged with the faintest blush of dawn, a rarity in the city that had never known true daylight. He stood slowly, the lantern's glow steady now, illuminating the deep lines etched across his face. Each wrinkle was a map of years spent wandering these streets, lighting lamps and weaving dreams in a city that had forgotten how to hope. But the light was more than a flicker. It was a promise. The promise of redemption, of healing the fractures time had carved into his soul. As Finn began to walk again, his steps lighter than before, a figure emerged from the shadows ahead. A woman, cloaked in midnight blue, her eyes reflecting the soft glow of the lanterns like twin stars. "Finn," she said, her voice a whisper carried on the night breeze. He blinked, recognition blooming slowly. Her presence was both familiar and distant, like a half-remembered dream. "Era," he replied, a faint smile tugging in his lips. She stepped closer, the twilight wrapping around her like a second skin. "The flame in your lantern. It falters because you carry too much weight. The dreams you've guided away, the memories you've hidden, they are not just burdens. They are part of you." Finn nodded, the truth settling deep within him. "I have to face them, for my lantern to burn again." Era's gaze softened. "Then come, walk with me through the paths you once feared. Let the city show you the forgotten stories, and perhaps you will find the forgiveness you seek." Without hesitation, Finn followed her into the weaving alleys, the lantern casting a golden path ahead. The city seemed to breathe with them, the twilight shimmering with possibility. The alleys twisted and turned like the threads of a forgotten tapestry, each corner revealing fragments of lives once lived and dreams once dared. As Finn followed Era, the lantern's light seemed to pull the shadows apart, unveiling scenes hidden beneath the city's eternal dusk. They passed a narrow doorway where a boy sat, hunched over a sketchbook, his fingers trembling as he traced delicate lines. Finn's heart tightened. The boy's eyes held the same wild hope he remembered from his own youth. He could have been a painter, Era murmured, but you led him away from the light, fearing the pain his dreams might bring. Finn swallowed hard. I thought I was protecting him. Sometimes protection is just another kind of cage. Further on, they came upon a woman cradling a wilted flower beneath a flickering lamp. Her gaze was distant, haunted by a loss Finn had helped her forget, erasing the memory like smoke in the wind. Her grief was too heavy, Finn whispered, voice thick with remorse. I thought letting her forget was mercy. Era's hand brushed his arm gently. Forgiveness, Finn, begins with understanding, not just of others, but of yourself. The lantern's flame steadied in his grasp, casting a warm glow over the weary lamplighter's face. As the night deepened, Finn felt the heavy weight inside him begin to shift, loosening the bonds of regret and sorrow. They stopped beneath a grand oak in the city's heart, its branches stretching wide against the twilight sky. Era turned to him, eyes shining with quiet hope. The final light awaits you there, the one you must ignite to save yourself. Finn nodded, determination sparking anew. I am ready. Together they walked toward the place where past and present would finally meet. The great oak loomed before them, its gnarled branches stretching like ancient arms toward the heavy sky. Beneath it, a solitary lantern hung, dark, unlit, and forlorn. The air was thick with memories, both sweet and bitter, swirling like mist at Finn's feet. He stepped forward slowly, heart pounding beneath a chest heavy with years of sorrow. This lantern was his own, the one he had carried since youth, the flame inside a reflection of his soul. Now it flickered weakly, threatened by the shadows he had long tried to keep at bay. Era's voice was soft but unwavering. To rekindle the flame, you must embrace the memories you've buried. Face your younger self, the boy who first took up the lamplighter's mantle. Finn closed his eyes, and the city around him faded, replaced by the vivid pulse of a long-forgotten night. He was there again, a young man, standing beneath this very oak, lantern in hand, eyes alight with a fiery mix of hope and fear. The weight of promise pressed upon him, heavy and unfamiliar. A sudden wind swept through the branches, scattering leaves like golden embers. The young Finn looked up, trembling, searching the shadows for guidance. Then, from the darkness, a voice called softly, his own but older, steadier. Do not fear the night, boy. The light you carry is more than flame, is hope. Tears welled in the elder Finn's eyes, as the two versions of himself stood beneath the oak, lanterns glowing faintly, their light merging into a brilliant blaze that chased the twilight away. In that moment, the city seemed to breathe a sigh of relief, its eternal dusk softened by a dawn born of forgiveness and acceptance. Finn opened his eyes, the flame in his lantern now steady and bright. He smiled, the promise of new beginnings flickering in his gaze. He had come full circle. The warmth from the lantern bathed Finn's hands, steady and sure now. The air around the great oak felt lighter, as if the very weight of years had lifted, leaving behind a crispness that tasted like fresh beginnings. The faint murmur of the city's twilight seemed to soften, the constant hum of dusk replaced by a gentle, hopeful melody. Finn took a deep breath and looked up at the canopy of ancient branches, now glowing faintly under the tender light. The streets beyond the square stretched out like veins, alive once more with the soft flicker of countless lamps, each one a beacon for a dreamer in need. Era stood quietly beside him, her eyes reflecting the glow. You have kept your promise, Finn, to yourself and to the city. He nodded, the exhaustion of years melting away, replaced by a quiet strength. The light is not just for others, is it? It's for me too. No, she said softly. We are all wanderers in twilight, carrying our own lamps. Sometimes it's the ones we hold for ourselves that guide us the farthest. The lamplighter smiled, a genuine curve of warmth beneath his weathered face. Then it's time to walk again, to keep lighting the way. As they turned toward the winding streets, the lantern's flame swayed gently in the evening breeze, casting golden paths ahead. The city of eternal twilight was still waiting. But now, its light held a promise, not just of guidance, but of hope rekindled. Finn's journey was far from over, but for the first time in many years, his steps were lighter, and his heart a little less shadowed. The streets of the city hummed softly beneath the lantern's glow as Finn and Era wandered onward. The buildings, ancient and worn, seemed less like silent witnesses and more like companions. Each brick and window pane a repository of stories whispered long ago in the fading light. Finn's eyes caught a small, weathered bench nestled beneath a flickering lamp. He paused, resting the lantern on the stone beside him. The flame flickered gently, as if breathing in the cool night air. "You know," Finn began, his voice low, "there was a time I thought my duty was only to protect others, from pain, from heartbreak, from the darkness inside their dreams." Era nodded, settling beside him. "And what do you believe now?" He looked up at the shifting twilight, colors swirling like smoke overhead. That protecting them meant hiding parts of myself too. I thought if I carried their burdens, the city would be safe. But I forgot the one person who needed guiding the most. Her gaze was kind. "You," Finn smiled faintly. "Yes, me." They sat together in comfortable silence, the lantern's flame a soft heartbeat between them. From the shadows, a faint melody rose, a song carried by the wind, delicate and haunting. It wove through the streets like a thread of silver, touching the edges of forgotten dreams. Finn closed his eyes, letting the music cradle his soul. The promise of dawn, fragile, flickering, had begun. And for the first time in a long while, the lamplighter felt truly at peace. The melody lingered, wrapping around the crooked rooftops and narrow alleys like a gentle caress. Finn opened his eyes to see the faint outline of a figure standing a few yards away, framed by the soft glow of a newly lit lamp. It was a child, no more than 7, eyes wide with wonder as she watched the dance of light and shadow. Her small hand reached out, fingertips brushing the air, as if trying to catch the flame itself. Finn's heart stirred, a flicker of something tender and familiar. He knelt down, the lantern's glow illuminating the deep lines of his face. "Hello, little one," he said softly. The child's lips parted in a shy smile. "Are you the lamplighter?" Finn nodded. "Yes, and light the lamps so dreamers like you can find their way." She glanced around the twilight city, then back at him. "Will you light mine?" He smiled, reaching into the folds of his coat to produce a tiny lantern, its glass cloudy and unlit. "This one is yours," he said, passing it gently into her hands. "But you must light it yourself. It's your dreams that will keep the flame alive." The girl's eyes sparkled as she lifted a small match to the wick. The flame copped slowly at first, then blossomed into a steady glow, casting warm light across her face. Finn watched as the child's lantern flickered and danced, illuminating not just the shadows around them, but something deeper, a quiet hope, a future yet to be written. He stood, heart lighter than it had been in years. The promise he had made, to himself, to the city, to the dreamers, was no longer just a whisper. It was a living flame. The little girl's laughter, soft and bright, echoed through the empty street like a melody long forgotten. She skipped forward, her lantern casting playful shadows on the walls, chasing away the lingering gloom of the eternal twilight. Finn followed her slowly, the steady flame in his own lantern now a steady beacon in the night. With every step, the city seemed to pulse with renewed life. Lamps flickered on along the pathways, and the heavy quietness lifted as if breathing easier. "Where are you going?" Finn asked gently. "To find the dreamers," the girl replied, her eyes wide and earnest. "The ones who lost their way." Finn smiled, a warmth blossoming in his chest. "Then we walk together. As they moved through the streets, the Burl's lantern light joined Finn's, a duet of flames dancing in the darkness. The city's dreamers, once lost and wandering, began to emerge from shadowed doorways and hidden corners, each drawn by the twin lights that promised safety, hope, and guidance. A man paused, eyes tired but hopeful, following the glow like a moth to flame. A woman stepped from a crumbling archway, clutching a faded photograph close to her heart. Children peered from windows, their faces illuminated by the growing brightness. Finn's heart swelled at the sight, the city alive again, its pulse rekindled by the simple act of lighting a lamp, of carrying a promise. The girl looked up at him, her small hand warm in his. "Thank you," she whispered. "No," Finn said softly. "Thank you for reminding me why I light the way." Together they walked on, two lamplighters in a city no longer bound by endless twilight, but bathed in the flickering hope of countless glowing dreams. The streets, once steeped in a muted silence, now thrummed with a subtle energy. The dreamers gathered, drawn not only by the light, but by the warmth that flickered within their hearts. Finn's footsteps fell in rhythm with the city's awakening pulse, each lamp he lit casting ripples through the fabric of twilight. The little girl beside him skipped ahead, her lantern swaying with joyous abandon. Her name, he learned, was Leora, a beacon herself, born of the city's whispered hopes. She had lost her own way once, but now, with flame in hand, she was ready to lead others back from the shadows. As they neared the edge of the city's oldest district, a place where the lamps had long been extinguished and the cobblestones cracked with neglect, Finn hesitated. Here, the darkness was thickest, and the air carried a chill heavier than before. Ira appeared silently at his side, her presence a steadying warmth. "This is where your promise will be truly tested," she said, "where you will face the last and deepest shadow." Finn nodded, the lantern's flame steady but flickering still. "Then let's light the way." Together, they stepped into the darkest streets, the lantern's glow pushing back the night inch by inch. As they walked, the shadows seemed to ripple, forming shapes, memories long buried, fears long suppressed. A figure emerged from the darkness ahead, a younger Finn, eyes wild, heart torn, standing at the crossroads of doubt and hope. "You left me here," the younger voice accused, trembling with pain. "Why did you abandon me?" Finn's breath caught, the weight of years pressed down as he met his own gaze, raw, unguarded, desperate. "I didn't know how to be brave," the elder Finn whispered. "I was scared of failing, of losing everything." The younger Finn's shoulders sagged, the fierce light in his eyes dimming. "But you kept walking," he said softly. "You kept lighting the way." "Yes," the elder replied, "because I had to believe that even in the darkest twilight, a single flame can change everything." The two versions of Finn stepped toward each other, hands reaching out, bridging the years of fear and regret. The lantern's flames flared, bright and pure, washing away the shadows in a cascade of light. And in that illumination, Finn felt the final knot inside him unravel. The promise fulfilled, the past forgiven. The city exhaled, bathed at last, in a glow that promised not eternal twilight, but endless possibility. The light that burst forth from the two Finns seemed to ripple through the very bones of the city. The darkness recoiled, folding back like a tide retreating from the shore, unveiling colors long hidden beneath the persistent veil of twilight. Cobblestones shimmered faintly, and the air grew warmer, charged with the electric pulse of renewed hope. The younger Finn stepped forward, his eyes wide but no longer wild, steady now, filled with the gentle glow of acceptance. "I was afraid," he said quietly, "but you taught me to keep the light alive." The elder Finn nodded, placing a steady hand on his younger self's shoulder. "And now it's time to carry it together." As their hands met, the city itself seemed to breathe, the ancient lamps flaring to life in a cascade of golden light. Windows glowed warmly. Laughter and whispered conversations floated on the breeze. Era smiled, her presence like a soothing balm over the transformation. This is the promise kept, the light that never truly fades, no matter how deep the twilight. Finn looked out over the city he had walked for decades, a city reborn, not through the absence of darkness, but through the courage to kindle a light within it. He turned to Era and Leora. the two beacons who had helped guide him back to himself. "Thank you for walking with me," he said, voice steady and sure. Together, the Lamplighters moved through the streets, lining the path for the dreamers, the lost, and the hopeful. In a city of eternal twilight, the promise of dawn had finally been made. Finn felt the city's heartbeat quicken beneath his feet, the once faint glow now swelling into a vibrant pulse of life. Each lantern he passed flared to brilliant flame, the golden light washing over shuttered windows and cracked walls, turning shadows into gentle curves and soft silhouettes. The Dreamace, once cautious and weary, now emerged fully from their hiding places. Faces lit with wonder and gratitude turned toward Finn and his companions, their eyes reflecting the renewed warmth of the city's glow. A man stepped forward, clutching a faded locket to his chest. "You've brought back what I thought was lost forever," he murmured, voice thick with emotion. A woman nearby wiped tears from her cheek. "The light. It feels like hope again." Finn smiled, a deep, unburdened smile that reached into the depths of his soul. "Hope never truly leaves. It only waits for someone to light the way." Lyora's lantern danced in the night air as she twirled beside him, her laughter pure and bright. Era's calm presence was a steady anchor, a reminder that even the smallest flame can outshine the deepest darkness. Together they stood beneath the great oak once more, now bathed in a luminous glow that seemed to pulse in time with the city's renewed spirit. Finn lifted his lantern high. "This is our promise," he said softly, "to carry the light through every shadow, to guide the dreamers, no matter where they wander." The lanterns around them blinked in quiet agreement, each a small flame in a vast constellation of hope. And as the eternal twilight softened into a gentle dusk, Finn knew the path ahead would still hold challenges. But for the first time in a long while, he was ready to walk it, not alone, but with the promise of light burning steady in his heart. The gentle dusk stretched its soft fingers across the cityscape, wrapping every rooftop and alley in a serene embrace. Finn breathed deeply, feeling the crispness of renewed life in the air. The lamps flickered softly, their light weaving a tapestry of warmth and safety that wrapped around the dreamers like a protective cloak. Children gathered near the fountain, their laughter ringing clear as they chased glowing orbs conjured by the flickering lanterns. Elderly couples leaned on canes and each other, sharing stories beneath the gentle glow, while young lovers stole quiet moments in shadowed alcoves, now softened by light. Finn watched them all, a quiet smile tracing his lips. The city was alive again, not just in light, but in spirit. The promise he had made, the journey he had taken, had become something far greater than a single lamplighter's burden. It was a shared hope, a collective dream rekindled. Era stepped beside him, her eyes reflecting the myriad lights that danced around them. "The city needed you, Finn, but perhaps you needed it even more." He nodded slowly. "I found more than light in these streets. I found forgiveness, courage, and the strength to hope again." Leora tugged on his sleeve, her small face illuminated by her lantern's glow. "Will you teach me to be a lamplighter, Finn?" He laughed softly, the sound like a warm breeze. "There's no better time than now." As night deepened gently around them, Finn lifted his lantern one last time. The flame burned bright, a beacon not just for the city dreamers, but for himself. A promise fulfilled, a light rekindled, a journey just beginning. And beneath the eternal twilight, hope blossomed like the first dawn. The end.